kind of different between you and other U.S. experts. It's like a 2 and 3% difference. Why is that?
Well, first, certainly, economists they use different models to make predictions. And for the research in the income country, more often they use the economic model which apply to the income country to look into developing country, and for China especially is a transition economy. And so they look into the prediction from the income country. Not only there have been about 2% or 3% difference in the prediction. Actually, if reporters, you know that in the mass media, every several years we have a lot of prediction about the coming collapse of the Chinese economy. But China has not been, China has been maintaining dynamic economic growth for the past 36 years. And the reason was because of, the economic model will be valid if the conditions, the precondition of the models are the same. But as a developing country, the condition will be different from the income country. And for someone that comes from China, I studied the Chinese economy, I have a better insight of the Chinese economy. So as I mentioned that in my opening remark, I published my book, China Miracle, 20 years ago. And I made a prediction that China will continue the dynamic economic growth. China will overtake US in 2050. And for the past, in the first 10, 15 years, everyone thought I was too optimistic. But now, as I mentioned, actually, according to IMF and the World Bank, China has already overtaken the US by 2014, major by purchasing power. I think it was because of the different understanding of the economic mechanism in China and other countries.
Sandra from Tencent Finance. So what will be the biggest risk for China from the global market? Let's see how the Fed's rate hike possibly impact China in the future.
Well, certainly, there's a lot of risk in the world, geopolitics, and yet, you have other big shocks in other parts of the world that affect China. Because as I mentioned, now China is the largest trading country in the world. And in this kind of globalized world, we are all connected. But as I mentioned that, even we have external shocks, and that cannot be avoided. But China has a very good position to rely on internal sources for the growth. Because as a middle-income country, we still have huge scope for industrial upgrading, for further improvement in infrastructure, for environmental protection, for urbanization. And this differs China from China to other income countries. Because you have a big shock, you have a slowdown. For the income country, it's not so easy to find good investment opportunity. China is a developing country, there are plenty of good investment opportunities. And China also has very good resources, both in terms of fiscal position, public saving, and also reserve. And this, the resources for investment differ China, differentiate China from other developing countries. So certainly we do not hope to have a big shock in the world, but I think that even if China faces a big shock from external sources, China will still be able to maintain this dynamic economic growth. So maybe we should get, okay, last time.
Professor, do you think the central government should be alarmed by the recent slowdown? Do you foresee any that will lower the interest rates or triple R in the near future? And my second question is, what's your take on the current performance of the A share? Do you think it's normal or some reason behind it?
Well, the first one, certainly the government policy need to adapt, need to contingent on the external and internal situation. And I will not be able to make a prediction about stock market. If I can make a good prediction about stock market, I can be richer than Bill Gates. So stock market overall, certainly, if you look into the value of the companies compared to its market price, China is quite low compared to other countries. And so there's some good reason for the stock prices to increase, but I'm not good at predicting whether it's going to continue increase or it's going to have some adjustment. As I said, if I can have a good prediction about that, I'll probably be the next.
Yes, so look, the money that's being spent in terms of the two Silk Roads, the Maritime Silk Road and the New Silk Road, there's some complaints in China that this is investment funds that could be gone to domestic investment instead. So I'd like you to say, what are the economic effects within China for the building of these infrastructural projects in places in the neighbors of China, like in Southeast Asia and in Central Asia? What kind of economic effects does it have on the domestic economy?
Well, I think it's good for the domestic economy also, because as I mentioned, China has competitive advantages in the infrastructure construction, and China also has a large reserve. So with this, this Silk Road and Maritime Silk Road, the improvement in the infrastructure in those areas certainly that China can expand the market today. And not only so, because infrastructure has been the bottleneck for the growth in almost all the developing countries. And so with this kind of improvement in the infrastructure in other developing countries, it will help the other country to have economic growth. And that will expand the market for China and for Hong Kong country. So overall, I think it's a win-win for every country. Right.
What will be the main challenges that growth in China this year?
The main challenge is, well, one certainly is external environment. If the U.S. can continue the dynamic economic growth, and it will help. If the U.S. the growth cannot be maintained, it will put pressure on China, and also geopolitics, tensions, and if it has that, certainly will make the external environment to take some stress. So certainly, I think for every government need to be watchful about all kinds of sorts of shock and prepare themselves to cope with those kind of shocks.
Can you elaborate on those shocks?
Hmm?
Could you just elaborate on those shocks, like more domestic challenges?
Well, external shocks we just discussed, but internals certainly we also need to pay attention to. Some area, for example, housing, stock market, and so on, and to be watchful, because you need to be cautious. Even overall the situation is good, but we don't want to have any black swan, and to be prepared for that.
We have observed that the central bank has recently reduced the intervention in the currency market. Is that reasonable to suggest that the Chinese 3.1 trillion foreign reserve is going to decline from here?
I didn't get your question. Could you elaborate?
Oh yeah. So we recently observed that the central bank has reduced intervention in the currency market.
Yeah.
Is it reasonable to suggest that the Chinese foreign reserve is going to decline from here? And if so, what's the implication for the U.S. Treasury market, because China is the largest holder of the Treasury?
I think first, it's two different questions. If it is desirable to reduce the intervention in the currency markets and to widen the band of the fluctuation in the exchange rate, right? That is one thing. And whether the reserve will further increase or not, it will depend on many other things. One thing is capital account. If the Hong Kong country continue to adopt very easy monetary policy, then the tendency will be to have capital inflow in the capital account. And also depends on the current account. If Hong Kong country rebound very strongly and then export increase, that may contribute to increase in the trade surplus. So the accumulation of the reserve depends on many other issues. other factors instead of just the widening the band of the fluctuation in the exchange rate.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
We
Last question, please.
Okay.
Annabelle from Wall Street Multimedia. As we see that China is undergoing a large scale of anti-corruption activities, it's more like political reform. But how do you evaluate the financial reform in China nowadays?
Well, first one, the anti-corruption reform that show the determination for the government to improve the governance in China. So that should be a good thing. And mentioned that the corruption can cause some kind of social issues, political issues. I think it's on the right track. And in terms of financial reform, certainly, on the one hand, we need to maintain the stability of financial sectors. But on the other hand, we need to improve the efficiency of the allocation of credit of the capitals. And the government is balancing these two. On the one hand, the direction of the financial sector reform is very clear, and you can see the Chinese government has taken quite a number of steps. For example, liberalization of the interest rate was in the lending rate and the party rate. I think it's in the right direction. But at the same time, also we need to strengthening the supervisions and also to improve the financial structure, because one of the main drawbacks in the Chinese financial system is that agricultural households and micro enterprises, small, medium-sized enterprises, their access to financial services are quite limited. And those are the areas that China need to